may not want their husband to go to war because of their children, but he's going to war because of their children.
Definitely. Do you regret any aspect of just giving everything to your vision? I mean, you've spoken about that, saying like, I got fucked over in the business side.
I promise that I had to stop envying cool people at their current cool time. If anything, if someone's cool and I say their name a lot, I'm gonna flash the light on them so much that it ages their coolness. It's actually a war technique, showered in compliments.
Yeah.
You know, because that to be able to stay at 45 years old to still be the bad kid in class, at 45 I'm still in the principal's office. Because if you look at, like, say, fashion, right? If you think of something fashionable, it's probably gonna look like the kid in the principal's office. That's gonna be the fashion. And that's part of the reason why I'm the most influential person at fashion, because I refuse to leave the principal's office. If the substitute teacher comes in, I'm gonna say, "You got a big butt!"
Yeah.
And I'm gonna get, and they're gonna
right back to the principal's office.
And people are gonna be like, "Yo," and that's what you keep on saying, like, who can we talk to? Because no one can talk to me. No one. I'm out of control, bro. It's just God, then me, and then fuck everybody. You know what I mean? That's really how I live my life. And I just want to say this one thing about the children thing. I wanted to, put that point together, put that idea together. I don't like the word point. I'm really big on like words being powerful, says the person with the sleepy tweet.
Yeah.
So
you're full of contradictions.
Yeah, I'm a human being, right? It's like some days I'm like, I could go 30 days to be celibate, like really, like I'm a monk. I'm being like faithful to God. And then I go like working out, no carbs, like my weight will fluctuate. And I have times I'm like, I don't feel like being told what to do. So I don't want to work out with a trainer. And I just want to drink this Hennessy. But I want to say this thing that I will text to Kim sometimes. I'll say, you may not understand what I'm doing right now, but you will. And that's what I would say to everyone. You may not understand what I'm doing. And this gives a little bit, maybe we're like 20% there. But there's still going to be people, we leave this interview, and they were like, I still don't like the way he apologized. I still don't want to say what my involvement would have been to make him lead him to that point. And we just want things to be how they are. There's people in the world who want the world to stay as it is, and there's people who want to change the world. And that's happened throughout time. They say that with Da Vinci, halfway into a conversation, he could not suffer fools so much that he would walk away halfway into the conversation. And I said, well, that's why it's the Da Vinci Code and not the Da Vinci world. And every time I go and piss off a group of people or do these things, on some end, it's like I could be turning my thing from a potential world vision to a code, or I could be opening up conversations with new friends that I may trust someday.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. that because the change you will have on the world that you don't know for sure, but it'll happen across years, even decades. So you have to think in the future. Like you're working in the future. Your actions are working in the future. And a lot of people will judge this conversation and others you've done and so on in the present, and that doesn't matter.
You know why I apologize when I say I'm sorry to the Jewish people that I hurt? It's not about, like I said, I'm not going to hold this apology hostage, right? It's obviously it's about God, but God is everything, right? So what's the point of having language and being, you can't engineer if you say God, right? It's like, God asks us to be judgmental so that you become, if you're a doctor, right? It's your judgment that saves grandma, right? And God puts that in there. It's like we have God inside us. We're a piece of God also, right? So I'm going to go specific to a person that story about Da Vinci alone is enough of a reason for me to give a sincere apology to the Jewish people, because I do believe that there's a Da Vinci Code inside of all of my misspellings and scribbles right here that God wants me to get to the world. And when I'm in my way, if God has set something on me, when I'm in my way, I'm in God's way. Now, I can point at other people and say, hey, you guys are in God's way because you're not listening to me. But if I'm in my way, I'm not listening to God. And for me to be a philosopher and a leader, whatever other language, I have to listen to God. So before God, what I will do is start off as a samurai and say, I'm sorry for hurting you as a Jewish person. I'm sorry for the way that made you feel. And I'm sorry for the entire population of a race that I feel is actually my brothers, because I classify and feel that I'm also connected with Christ in that way, that my people came from Africa in that way. And I can't say it's this exact teaching or that exact teaching, but I feel that there's an important, the sons of Abraham, however we want to word it, right? For us to come together and bring our different talents together to serve God collectively. And he, as much of an alien as I am, he did not call for me to alienate. And that's what the problem has been, especially in politics and in America. He placed America as the TV, as the radio to the world. We invented rock and roll, right? We are the influencers of the rest of the planet. We're the youngest startup in history, right? We're the youngest country. We're the youngest superpower, right? So for me in my position, the fact that I can talk to Trump one day and be at a game with Kim Kardashian the next day and then be at Paris Fashion Week, they don't want me to be involved with language of divisive language, proving that I can be just as racist as a racist white person. Oh, I can be a racist black person also. That's not what God has called me to do. So how do I simplify and say, hey, to you as a visionary, as an engineer, as a person that's giving me a platform, that as my brother, I want to apologize to you for how that made you feel, and to the rest of the people that carry specifically that pain, not the pain that I talk about. That doesn't seem to be as much of a pain for people when I talk about the abortion clinics and stuff. That's an argued pain even in my own community. Like, not everyone thinks that's a pain. But for the Jewish community, it's collectively, this was a pain. And I've gone so far just psychologically on this journey since that statement had happened, where I didn't want to give up the candy in my pocket. I didn't want to say, hey, I stuck my hand in the candy jar. I wanted to defend my freedom of speech. I wanted this. But even with freedom of speech, pain is pain. Causing people to hurt is not helping. Causing people to hurt is not helping. So that means I have to take a more sophisticated approach to engineering this problem. This problem is an opportunity. And yes, that what could some people may deem as a mistake. Would it be more genuine if I called it a mistake? I think I would be hypocritical by calling it a mistake with the end of that, the idea I'm going to say out loud. So I don't try to be a hypocrite on purpose. But I will call it a mistake to add a genuine, to be genuine about the feeling. With that mistake, with me as a human being, not to justify, but I have to state that God makes no mistakes, because if I hadn't made that mistake, I wouldn't be in front of you today. And that's not to justify this sleepy text.
But I can tell you're a man that has love in his heart, and I hear that. I hear it through the words, explicitly and implicitly. And I think if we were to engineer a better future, the way to do that is with love. So as one human to another, I love you, brother. Thank you for talking today. This is great.
I like you too.
Son of a bitch. Thanks for listening to this conversation.